What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. As you guys may have saw in the last video, we went to CVMA for round one, and unfortunately didn't make it through the mock race. Ended up crashing out there, so we didn't get our license that day as part of the new racer school. So I have yet to really look at the bike since then. I mean, I've gone over a little bit, but today I'm just gonna kind of show you guys a little bit of the damage that took place. I'm gonna be assessing some of it, and then I want to clean the bike, get it all cleaned up, probably take off the lower fairing. There's still some rocks and stuff in there. And then I don't know if we'll get to it today. I want to try to attempt it, but I don't have a lift. But we do have the shark fin or chain guard. So I got this GB Racing one right here. So I'll have to mock that up, drill a couple holes and tap it, and then can mount that up to the swing arms. That way we'll be, compliant with all the rules necessary to be able to race. So yeah, before we get to we got to do it.
Nice.
Gotta start the morning off with a Dr. Pepper. But yeah, let me move some stuff out of the garage and get the bike in place, and then we'll get to it. All right, so biggest thing is definitely I took a low side down here on the left side. So honestly, these fairings held up pretty well. I mean, you got a hole in here, but as far as the fiberglass and everything, I mean, if these were factory fairings, I feel like this would have been a lot worse. And granted, if you guys saw the second video, you know that this is the second time that this bike has gone down on the same side. So aside from, some scratches and stuff here, might can grind that up a little bit with a grinder or something to kind of smooth that out. But other than that, I mean, some cracks, you kind of see. The bike is overall, it's still in working order. I took it around the block yesterday. This side of me, you can see it's completely fine. So yeah, we'll start with taking off this lower fairing, and then pull it outside, hook up the pressure washer, and then wash it off a little bit. Dump that up. Honestly though, everything still looks pretty solid. There's some dust and stuff. GB covers doing their job pretty well. I think they'll still hold up as well. Went over some of the fasteners and stuff. Other than that, like I said, I rode the bike around the neighborhood yesterday. Still fires up fine, motor sounds fine. Like I said, it just tipped over in the dirt out there. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up this pressure washer, and then I'm gonna pull it out and give it a quick rinse off. So I forgot to go over with you guys about the chain guard shark fin. So I'm gonna show you just kind of what I got. Got the bike back in the garage. So have this GB cover chain guard right here. Essentially, that's to help prevent in the event of a low side or crash, getting your hands or feet or something caught up in the chain if you or the bike go tumbling. So basically, this is going to sit up like that, and then it's got the angled end at the front, so if you were to hit it, it's basically supposed to deflect away from the chain and the sprocket to prevent anything from getting caught up in there. And it has this nice little kind of indent, so it'll you still have a way to put your stand on your spools or whatever. So yeah, I'll try to line this up. I don't know if I'm gonna actually get to installing it in this video because I've only drilled and tapped one other thing, so I haven't, not the most experience with doing that type of stuff, but shouldn't be too difficult. Also, so you guys can see this bracket a little better. So it sits, this top side has the beveled holes for the screws that, for the tapped and drilled holes, so they'll sit up in there flush like that, so that this can sit on top and there'll be no interference. And then you screw the other holes inside there, and that's what's going to hold it securely on the bike. And then if anything were to get damaged or you break your cover, you can essentially detach it and then attach a new one to the bracket and mount it to the bike. So. Basically just using this punch to try to indent the swing arm a little bit to make it easier for the drill to start the holes that way. So I don't just put a drill up against it and it starts, you know, moving all over the place without having something to actually bite to. Biggest thing with stuff like this is not necessarily that it's a hard job, but you just want to make sure that you measure and line up everything correctly, because you really only get one chance to do it. So it calls for a So I use a 5mm drill and tap to a M6 or 6mm tap for these guys. So let me grab my drill. Alright guys, so I did a little research. Got with a buddy of mine and found out. So apparently I went by Harbor Freight, I went by Home Depot. I guess the metric drill bits are like pretty hard to come by, or you have to order them online or something like that. So I found out the closest size for 5mm is the 13/64. So we have that here right now in the drill. It's just slightly over 5mm. So I'm going to basically reline up this bracket, make sure that the indents I did are lined up, and then I will drill the holes and then attempt to tap them. The tap and die set right here. No, that's everybody's favorite set right there. So yeah, we'll see if we can get this thing on, hopefully in this video. So yeah, I'll just set the camera down and get to it. All right, everybody. So first off, don't be like me and try to drill into something with your drill spinning the wrong way. That's why it was taking me forever. Then I realized that and swapped the bits, and it started cutting into the subframe right away. So the holes are drilled. I had to, after I drilled the first hole, I put the bracket back up against the swing arm and lined it up with the one hole, and then the previous indent that I made with the punch wasn't in the center of the second hole, so I had to repunch so that I made sure I was drilling center so that both holes would be lined up. So if you're ever in a situation like that, like I said, just always double check and remeasure or remark to make sure that things are lining up. Because if I would have just went ahead and drilled where I originally made my punch, the holes would have not been lined up correctly, and I would have been in a situation where if I had tried to re-drill the hole, it would have just made an elongated hole, and then I would have probably been screwed, or at least I wouldn't have known what to do from that point. So the bracket lines up. I don't know if you guys could really see, but no, the lighting's pretty bad, but there's the one hole and there's the other hole. So I'm getting my tap together right now, and I'm going to tap threads into the holes and then go ahead and attach the guard. As far as lubricating the tap, I'm just going to use a little bit of double WD-40 on there to help it get started. Also, before I start tapping the holes, so my kit comes with two M6 size taps. One is 1.0 and the other is a 0.75. So those numbers essentially have to do with the gap or the spacing between the threads. So if you're not sure which one to use, there are my fasteners right there, and they pretty much, I put them up to the 1.0, and you can see the threads are pretty much gapped evenly. If I hold this up to the 0.75, you can see the threads are a lot more shallow and more tightly spaced together, so it wouldn't thread in properly and have a good bite. Just something to be wary of if you are trying to do something else like this. Well, got to figure out how I'm gonna actually start this without the chain and sprocket being in the way. So, if you can see, if I try to make any sort of turn, really, I hit the sprocket there. If I go back, kind of hitting the wheel. So, I need to find something else that could potentially hold this tap. Well, solved that pretty quickly. The kit has a handheld holder in there as well. So pretty much with this, instead of using two hands, you pretty much just put your palm over the flat piece like that, and then work your way into the threads. Pretty much just want to keep this as straight as possible with the hole that you're tapping, so that your threads end up being level. I don't honestly remember the proper how many turns to tap and then back out, but just every so often as I turn, you'll start seeing the shavings kind of build up, so I'll just back it out a little bit. And then start again. It may not sound like it, but I'm like pretty, not necessarily super stressed, but I just want to make sure that I get this good. And I'll back it out. Also, the fact that this bike is on the ground and I'm pretty much laying underneath it. Alright, that feels pretty good. So we'll pull that out. Alright, well, I honestly don't see any threads, so I hope that's not the case. Okay, as you can see, that fastener went in there fine, smooth, no issues. So that was just a test to make sure that it actually is threaded. Like I said, this there's not much material to work with here. It's only like probably a few millimeters thick, so there'll probably only really be like a thread or two in there to begin with, but it should be enough to hold the guard. If you run into, you can see like the material there that it brought out of the metal. If you run into an issue like this where you mess up on the threads, an option would to upsize the hole to drill it like probably a size or two bigger, and then insert like a thread or like a helical insert. But honestly, I don't know if with it being that little amount of metal, if even something like that would work. So I honestly don't know. I'm sure there's somebody out there that would know. If you know, if you're watching and you know, you can comment. If not, I honestly not sure what to tell you. Just try not to mess it up the first time. I guess the whole purpose of backing it off, these little kind of chutes or galleys here in between the actual part that's cutting, it'll kind of push those shavings into there and kind of get them out of the way so you can keep making a clean thread. But you'll notice it once you actually start hitting the threads. After you get past the initial bite, it does get pretty smooth. It'll get a little easier, and that's what you want. Alright, I think that's far enough. Back it all the way out. And that one went in pretty smooth as well. But yeah, so that part's done. Pretty much at this point, I mean, it's just like screwing anything else in. Apply a little bit of Loctite to your fasteners, and you know, that's it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you might have learned something or just enjoyed the content. Yeah, I'm new to this still, so I'm gonna try to get better with speaking in front of a camera, trying to interact with you guys more, and hopefully keep them going. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.